Hey, welcome back, fourth grade students. So in this very brief tutorial, kind of wanted to show you some ways you can compare decimals. A couple different ways. We have a place value chart you can see here. Another way is you can rewrite each decimal like as if it were money, like some kind of amount of money. So like for example, over here on the left, sorry, there's this is kind of another conceptualization of place value. You have your ones place value, and then in between the ones and the next smallest place value on the right, you have the tenths. That's like taking one whole and breaking it into 10 equal parts. And then you go from the tenths to the hundredths when you take 10 equal parts and break those into each individual part into 10 parts. So you go from one whole to tenths to hundredths. And remember, if you think about it as far as like if you use the concept of money, these would be your dimes right here, right? These because dimes are worth 10 cents or 10 out of 100, and hundreds would be your pennies because pennies are 1 cent or one out of 100. So those are hundreds. Okay, so let's compare. Let's start with the first one. You have 0 and 78 hundredths, right? So I have 0 ones and 78 hundredths, and then I have 0 ones and 87 hundredths. And so what you do is you start with your place values. You see in the ones column, they're both the same. Move over to the tenths, and you notice that the 8 is larger than the 7. So we would say that 87 hundredths is larger than 78 hundredths. We get rid of that, so we would say, okay, this one is greater. And the other thing you could do, like I said, you can kind of represent them in terms of a monetary amount. So you can have $0.78 is going to be less than $0.87. And you can compare, we have 1 and 42 hundredths and 1 and 42 hundredths. And I think you'll see there's 1 and 1, and then there's 42 hundredths, 42 hundredths. And you can see that every single value is the same. So we could say that these two amounts are equal or equivalent. So we would say, okay, they are actually equal. And I think that makes sense because you would say that $1.42 is equivalent or equal to $1.42. The next one, we have $3. Oh, sorry, 3 and 11 hundredths, and then we comparing that with 3 and 12 hundredths. And so you compare the ones place value. You see the ones place value, they're the same. Move over to the tenths, and you see that they're the same. So in this one, we had to go all the way to the hundreds to determine which one was larger. So 3 and 12 hundredths is larger than 3 and 11 hundredths. So we can say this one's greater. And let me represent that in the form of money. So that would be $3.11 is less than $3.12. If I have time, I'll write these as far as fractions go, but I don't know if I'll have time in this recording. Now, the last one can tend to be the trickiest one. You'll notice the first one has 4 and 2 tenths. The second one is 4 and 20 hundredths. Now, I guess my first question is, why are they equal? Well, if you notice, they're the same, right? In the ones place value, they both have a 4. In the tenths place value, they both have a 2. And in the hundreds, well, neither of them really have anything because even though there's a 0 in the hundreds, that's the same thing as having a 0 in the hundreds for the first one. So technically, they're the same. So 2 tenths, right, or 2 dimes would be 20 cents, and 20 hundredths is the same thing as 20 pennies or 20 cents. So technically, they are the same. So we would say that these two are equivalent or they're equal to each other. And then we would also say we have $4.20 is equal to $4.20.